Absolutely. I would like to talk about also about the discovering of Regina Spektor, and then the Soviet Kitsch
Yes.
album.
Has anybody here heard Soviet Kitsch by Regina Spektor?
I
One.
did.
It's worth hearing, definitely, definitely. Two. Okay. So after I recorded Is This It? And when I was living in London, every band in London that year in 2002 loved the Strokes album. So I got lots of work. I was just in studio. And it was great because in my basement studio in New York, I was the only guy doing all the engineering, all the producing. And it was a bit, like me and the band. Well, in all these big London studios, they had a guy engineering for me and another guy running up to me every 10 seconds going like, would you like a cup of tea? I go, oh, this is great. It was like such a great experience. And I was going to go back to New York around Christmas. So I've been in London for 1 year, recorded maybe 20 bands. And I was going to go to New York just to party. I wanted to go for a Christmas and New Year's party and just cut loose and get rid of work and just like see my friends. And a friend of mine called me up and said, hey, when are you coming to New York again? I said, I happen to be going like in 3 days. He goes, great. I've met this great musician and would you like to record? I said, oh, no, I don't want to record. I've just recorded the greatest bands and I've had a fantastic year. I do not want to record. And he goes, well, she's a 23-year-old Russian girl who plays the piano really well. I go, 23-year-old Russian girl who plays the piano. Well, I'll meet her. I told him, I'll meet her. I'll see what she does, but I'm not recording. So I go to New York, and the second day I'm there, we go to TMF Studios, the first time I've ever stepped into this building. And this girl, Regina, comes up, and she's really charming. She's got these big frizzy hair and these old sweaters with holes in them and a necktie. And I'm thinking, wow, who's this? And I say, well, what do you do? And she says, would you like to see what I do? Yeah. So she reaches into her purse and pulls out a drumstick. Okay. And she sits down at an upright piano, and she starts playing the upright piano with her left hand and hitting a chair with a drumstick really fast, like horses galloping, with her right hand. And she starts looking up at me and singing the most incredible lyrics I could ever imagine, while I'm already fascinated by this classical Beethoven technique in the left hand and this crazy fast drumming on the right hand. And now she's looking me right in the eye, singing a song called Poor Little Rich Boy, which sounded like the Moldy Peaches meets Patti Smith, some strange thing coming out of her mouth, right? And while she was singing this and playing me the song, the first thing that crossed my mind is, oh my God, the world is going to love this, which happens to be the title of my book, because that's exactly where I got it. I said, oh my God, the world is going to love this. I have to record it. And I started thinking right away in the first song how I wanted to record it. And when she was finished, she smiled. And I told my friend, is the studio actually available today? He goes, yeah. And I said, well, go bring me 9 microphones. And he goes, 9 microphones? Why do you need 9 microphones? It's a girl playing the piano and hitting a chair. I said, watch. And I set up like stereo mics on the piano, a microphone in the room to capture it, a microphone on the drums. And then I said, put a microphone like in the air, another one, and run it down the hall into a Fender amplifier, and then put 2 microphones on front of that. I don't know if that's 9, but I actually did use 9 mics. And so we had this piano in a room with the room sound with her vocals. She's doing the vocal. Oh, yeah, a vocal mic, a really good one, like a U67.
Wow, a vintage
And
one.
she's playing and singing and hitting the chair all at the same time while that sound is being fed into a guitar amp with a little reverb on it, microphone mic'd up by 2 mics. And this crazy sound, because I thought she's so good and her songs are so unusual that why would you want to record it like every other girl playing the piano and singing, like just here it is, you know that sound. I thought, what if we record it in a totally non-typical way, like a punk rock album, like a punk rock band sound coming from a piano and a voice. And that's basically what we did.
How did you record like the violin, the strings? like of us.
We did that in London, actually. Because late after we did these songs with her, I was just kind of in love with her music. Like I kept calling her. I was in Seattle for a while during Christmas vacation as well, and I kept saying, "Oh, Regina, I really had fun recording you." And she goes, "Me too. We should do it again." I go, "Yeah, yeah." So when I got back to London, I had a bunch of money because it was like really early in the Strokes royalties, and I was like, I'll fly you out to London. I'll rent studios and we'll do all this. And 2 songs, she said, I want to have a string quartet. And so we were working in the Garden Studios, which was in Shoreditch. And it was run by this guy, Matt Johnson, from the band The. And it was a great studio, fantastic studio. I recorded lots of bands there in 2002 and 2003. And where do I get a string quartet? We don't know. So I'm asking around, and somebody said, hey, there's this one string quartet that Prince used. And I said, well, it's good enough for Prince. It's good enough for me. So we had this string quartet. It was going to cost us £1,000 for a day with 4 people doing 2 songs, okay? And they come in, and Regina's sitting at the piano, and she's showing them parts she wants them to play. And I've got microphones set up, and I'm listening from the control room, and I'm thinking, they're out of tune. Like, this does not sound good at all. Hello, thank you. And so I'm listening to the string quartet, learning their parts, and I'm just, I'm not a string player, I'm not an orchestra musician, but I can hear when things are out of tune. It just sounded like squeaky and weird, and I'm thinking, well, maybe they just haven't tuned up yet. So as they go along, they learn the parts, and we do a take, and it didn't get better. It just sounded out of tune. And so I was getting angry. I'm thinking, this is our budget, this is our time, I got the studio, and it's not cool. I was getting really mad. And so finally I had an idea, and I said, okay, let's do one more take. And we did the take, and I said, come in here. And I soloed the violin. I said, out of tune, I can't use it. Soloed the viola, out of tune, I can't use it. The second violin, out of tune, I can't use it. The cello, oh, that's great, sounds good. So I said, I'm sorry, guys, but I'm gonna have to let you go because I just can't use this. I need to find some other musicians. And the lady said, like, oh, that's okay, but are we still getting paid? And I said, yes, but I didn't pay them.
Oh, all right.
And I talked to the cellist. I said, like, what's up with this? He said, I'm actually part of another quartet that's very good. And I said, I believe you because you play real well. His name's Merlin. And he brought in another string quartet the next day, and they learned the parts, and they did phenomenally well. And that's what you hear on the album, on the song Us, and one other one, Carbon Monoxide. Yeah, those 2 songs have beautiful string quartets on them.
Yeah, I asked because he really has like a very beautiful quartet strong, and it's very recorded like very beautiful.